In fashion, the biggest shifts are rarely spontaneous. And when they do happen, they usually signal something bigger beneath the surface. When news broke that Lisa would serve as guest designer for Kith Women's Spring 2026, it didn't just surprise fans. It made industry insiders pause. Because this wasn't another ambassador announcement. It wasn't a red carpet appearance. It wasn't even a limited capsule with her name attached for marketing heat. This was different. This was creative control. For years, Lisa has operated at the highest level of global pop influence, as a member of Blackpink and as a solo artist. Her presence alone can move attention across continents. Brands understand that. The influence economy thrives on that kind of reach. But influence and authority are not the same thing. One captures attention. The other shapes direction. And in fashion, direction is power. Kith is not a small label chasing viral moments. It's a New York-based brand that built its identity through careful positioning, limited drops, and cultural alignment. It understands marketing. It understands scarcity. It understands how brand value compounds over time. So when Kith gives someone the title of guest designer for a full seasonal collection, that decision carries weight. It signals trust. It signals investment. It signals that the person is contributing creatively, not just commercially. That's why this move feels so unexpected. Lisa Blackpink has long been associated with major luxury houses, appearing in campaigns, sitting front row, representing global prestige. But representing a brand and designing for a brand are two very different roles. One is about image. The other is about vision. Spring 2026 is now officially tied to her creative direction within Kith Women. The collection, presented as designed by Lisa, reflects a balance between softness and edge, romanticism and after-dark confidence. The storytelling around the line hints at duality, range, and personality. And whether you're a fashion enthusiast or a casual observer, that framing matters, because it subtly shifts her identity from muse to maker. There's a moment in every global career where influence must evolve. Being the face of something can only scale so far. Eventually, the question becomes, can you shape it? Can you create it? Can you contribute to the product itself? Not just the campaign. This is where the conversation becomes more interesting. In the global market, celebrity collaborations are common. But true design involvement is rarer than headlines suggest. Many partnerships revolve around licensing agreements and curated selections. What makes this different is the narrative from Kith itself. The brand has openly stated that Lisa was involved throughout the creative process, participating in fittings, discussions, and conceptual direction. That implies time investment. That implies strategic alignment. That implies entrepreneurship mindset. And timing matters. 2026 is not early in her career. It's a phase where global artists begin thinking long-term. Longevity requires diversification. Not just music, not just endorsements, but positioning across industries. Fashion is one of the most powerful cross-cultural languages in the influence economy. It blends identity, aspiration, and commerce. When an artist steps into design territory, they're not just expanding their resume. They're expanding their leverage. Here's the subtle shift most people miss. When a brand invites you to design, they are temporarily sharing authorship. That changes how audiences perceive your role. You are no longer just aligned with aesthetic. You are partially responsible for it. That level of responsibility elevates brand value in both directions. Kith gains cultural amplification through Lisa's global reach. Lisa gains structural credibility through design authorship. And credibility compounds differently than popularity. In recent years, we've seen celebrities enter fashion through ownership stakes, beauty lines, or independent labels. Those are clear entrepreneurial plays. This collaboration sits in an interesting middle space. It doesn't announce a personal brand launch. It doesn't signal immediate revenue independence. But it demonstrates capability. It shows the industry that she can operate beyond performance, that she can sit at a creative table and contribute. There's also a strategic nuance here involving audience crossover. Kith's core audience has historically leaned towards streetwear enthusiasts and fashion-aware consumers who follow drops, silhouettes, and brand storytelling closely. Lisa's audience spans music fans, global youth culture, luxury followers, and mainstream pop consumers. When those worlds intersect, the marketing impact extends beyond sales numbers. It expands cultural territory. That expansion is not accidental. It's positioning. And positioning, when executed carefully, influences future negotiation power. Some fans may see this as a celebratory moment. And it is. But from a business perspective, it's also a signal. A signal that Lisa Blackpink is moving from symbolic association to structural participation. That shift affects how future brands approach her. It affects how investors view her potential. It affects how the global market interprets her trajectory. There's a quiet tension in transitions like this, because stepping into design opens a new level of scrutiny. When you are the face, criticism rarely targets product construction. When you are part of design, feedback becomes more direct. That risk alone suggests confidence. It suggests readiness. Midway through the announcement cycle, something else became clear. The conversation wasn't only about outfits. It was about evolution. Industry commentators began framing the collaboration as part of a broader trend. Artists seeking deeper creative stakes. Not louder campaigns. Deeper involvement. That's a meaningful distinction. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Creative control in fashion often serves as rehearsal for something larger. It trains decision-making muscles. It exposes artists to supply chains, production timelines, retail dynamics, and seasonal forecasting. Even if this collaboration remains a one-season engagement, the knowledge gained becomes strategic capital. Strategic capital is invisible at first, but it compounds. Lisa's global influence already commands attention. Now she adds documented design participation to her portfolio. That combination increases her optionality. In entrepreneurship terms, optionality is power. It means more paths forward, more negotiation leverage, more long-term stability. For Kith, aligning with a figure of her scale during spring 2026 amplifies relevance in the women's category. It reinforces global visibility without abandoning brand identity. It also demonstrates flexibility. Streetwear heritage meeting global pop authority creates narrative tension, and tension drives conversation. The collection itself reflects a blend of softness and strength, suggesting dual branding. That duality mirrors her public persona, polished yet playful, precise yet spontaneous. When brand narrative aligns with personal narrative, marketing feels organic. That authenticity strengthens consumer trust. Trust is a long-term asset in the global market. This collaboration may not break sales records overnight. That's not the primary point. The deeper impact lies in perception. Perception shapes valuation. Valuation influences opportunity. And opportunity determines longevity. From idol to designer is not a rejection of her past. It's an expansion of it. It signals growth without abandoning foundation. And growth, when handled carefully, protects brand value rather than diluting it. If you zoom out, you can see the broader pattern emerging in entertainment. Artists are increasingly aware that cultural relevance must translate into structural influence. Appearances generate headlines. Design generates ownership of narrative. That's why this move feels unexpected but logical at the same time. Unexpected because it shifts her public role. Logical because evolution demands it. As spring 2026 approaches, the real impact won't only be measured in units sold or social media engagement. It will be measured in how the industry repositions her mentally. As collaborator, as contributor, as someone capable of shaping product direction. And once that perception settles, it rarely reverses. Moments like this are rarely loud revolutions. They are quiet recalibrations. A subtle change in title that carries disproportionate meaning. Guest designer may sound temporary, but the implications extend far beyond a single season. Because when influence matures into authorship, the conversation changes. The question is no longer whether she can represent global brands. That's already proven. The question becomes what she builds next, and how much of that future she controls. Sometimes the most powerful transitions are the ones that don't scream for attention. They simply reposition the board. Lisa's involvement with Kith Women's Spring 2026 may look like a fashion headline, but beneath it lies a story about strategy, positioning, and long-term vision in the influence economy. And if this is only the beginning of her design chapter, then Spring 2026 might be remembered not just as a collection, but as a turning point. If you're watching this shift closely, you're not just following celebrity news. You're observing how modern brand value evolves in real time. And that evolution is far more interesting than any single drop. Stay curious, because sometimes the move that surprises everyone is the one that was carefully planned all along. If this perspective helped you see Lisa Manoban's move differently, hit like, subscribe, and stay part of the conversation. Her journey isn't just about music or fashion anymore, it's about positioning in a global market that rewards long-term strategy.